Today, our topic is hydration. This is the implementation week for hydration. Let's begin with a quick weekly check in. I hope you all got a chance to fill out the hydration awareness form. Thank you for doing that. And if anybody didn't get a chance to do that yet, please go ahead and do it even after the call today. It's important to assess your current relationship with water before making any shifts. So please go ahead and do it whenever you can. And we can begin today's session with presence pause and breath regulation. I hope you all are continuing with these practices. We can start the session today with these two. I request you all to take a moment to seat yourself in a comfortable position and close your eyes if you can. I'm going to guide you through presence pause and breath regulation. Be seated in a comfortable position and close your eyes. Starting with presence pause, we're going to pause for 4 seconds, about 4 seconds for each prompt. That's all it takes. Start by bringing your awareness to your breath. Just watch your breath. Shift your attention to your stomach. The sensations that you feel in your stomach, do not name them. Just stay with them. Now shift your attention to your feet. If they're touching the ground or whatever they're touching, just observe the sensation. Now bring your awareness to your posture. Do not correct it. Just watch your posture. Shift your attention to your mind. Just watch your thoughts and the landscape of what's running on your mind. Now, how alert or tired do you feel in your body? How alert or tired do you feel in your body? And where do you feel it in your body? Where do you feel it in your body? Take a deep breath in on the count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now gently open your eyes. All right. We can begin today's session with a quick refresher from last week. Last week, we discussed how water is one of the basic pillars of health. And also that hydration is not just intake of water. It's not just how much water you consume, but also how well your body can absorb and utilize the water. We saw 5 factors that impact water intake and 5 factors that impact water absorption. The 5 factors that you were asked to observe regarding water intake were firstly, how aware you are of your thirst signals. how accessible you keep your water. Do you mind the taste of plain water? Do you replace your water intake with other beverages like tea or coffee or soda? And lastly, how do you feel after drinking water? Do you feel bloated or heavy? Or do you feel satisfied and light? You were asked to observe all of these. And the five factors impacting water absorption are firstly temperature. You are asked to check which temperature of water do you usually drink. Is it warm water or cold water or room temperature? And do you drink more than, say, 1 or 2 cups at once? Do you drink a lot of water at a time? Or do you keep sipping water throughout the day? We discussed that neither of these are ideal. Overwhelming your system with a lot of water at once messes with your digestion, because water also takes some amount of digestive fire to be absorbed by the body. And sipping throughout the day also messes with your digestion, because your digestion needs a break. It needs a break from food, but also needs a break from water, any intake. So neither of these cases are ideal. Ideally, you should consume a minimum amount of water that quenches your thirst, which is usually 1 cup, around 1 cup, and it really varies. So observe how you're feeling after drinking the water. If you're drinking too much at once, it may mess with your digestion. So, and the third point is, do you typically drink water in between meals with an adequate gap, or do you find yourself thirsty right around meal times? You were asked to observe this. And the speed of consuming water, do you drink water slowly or do you usually chug your water down? And lastly, what's your mental state when you drink water? Are you able to sit calmly and drink, or do you mindlessly drink it? I didn't ask you to change anything. You were just asked to observe your current relationship with water. And if anyone would like to share what their main challenge was among all these factors, the most challenging thing, what your pain points were in drinking water right. Would anyone like to share what your pain points were? In the awareness form, I know most people shared that their pain point was not feeling thirsty enough early on, and also related to absorption of water. It may have seemed like a lot for you to observe so many things about drinking water. Right, I get it. You may think that taking in 8 cups of water a day feels like too much. Just making sure you're drinking enough feels like too much. Now, how are we going to focus on drinking water right? It seems like I'm adding more problems by telling you that blindly drinking 8 or 10 cups of water is not okay, right? I also have a solution, don't worry, because really mindlessly pushing 3 liters or 4 liters of water a day may not help you, because you might not be absorbing the water right, as we discussed. And in fact, it may be causing more damage to your system, because if you're drinking, say, 3 cups of water just before meal, just to get in that amount of water intake, you may be interrupting your digestive rhythm, right? If you take a lot of water just before you go to sleep because you haven't had enough water throughout the day, it may interrupt your sleep rhythm. Everything is interconnected, right? You're disrupting other rhythms by not doing your hydration right. So when you drink your water is equally important. It's not just how much you drink water. So I'd like for you all to think of all of these daily habits as rhythms. And rhythms, as I said, is the baseline for health. Rhythms create safety in the body because your body knows when to expect what. And that's the baseline for creating the safety in your body that activates your parasympathetic nervous system. So, in today's session, we'll take a look at a method of water intake, which is essentially a rhythm, like a hydration rhythm, so that your hydration does not impact other rhythms of the body, like digestion or your sleep or recovery or exercise, but it actually works along with those rhythms so that you can optimally utilize the water that you're drinking. It's going to take care of all the major pain points that you experience today with hydration. It's going to take care of your intake as well as absorption. So, this is called the 4 point hydration rhythm. It's called the 4 point hydration rhythm, wherein instead of randomly drinking water, you create a bodily rhythm. You're going to drink water at 4 daily anchor points. Okay. First thing in the morning, 30 minutes before your meals, 1 hour after your meals, and before bedtime. So these are the 4 anchor points where you will be drinking water. And this rhythm actually trains the body better than counting the number of liters. Okay. It addresses the amount of water to be taken in every day, but it also targets the uh, it also helps you drink water relative to your digestion and sleep rhythms, and that helps the body make the best use of this water. And let's talk about each of these 4 anchor points in detail. Let's start with morning water intake. So, drinking water first thing in the morning, it's a practice explicitly suggested by Ayurveda. It's called Ushapan. You may have heard, if you're familiar with some Ayurvedic doctors may have told you to drink water even before brushing your teeth, right? Now, whether I recommend this practice or not, I don't want to say everyone should be doing that. Although it's mentioned in Ayurveda that it's a good thing to do, it doesn't work for everyone. It only works if your gut microbiome or oral microbiome are relatively healthy. Otherwise, it could be doing some damage. So I wouldn't say it as a blanket rule for everyone to follow, but you can try it out. So, but why? But at least like after brushing your teeth, within an hour of waking up, at least you should have some water. And let's see why it's important. Because overnight, your body has basically been on fasting and repair mode. That's what happens when you sleep, right? And by morning, things start to feel a little bit slow and dry. So when you drink first water as the first thing, you're gently turning the system back on. The intestines wake up and it triggers bowel movements that should ideally be happening in the morning. So the digestion shifts from rest mode to active mode. It's waking up your digestive system and it's like telling the body, okay, the day has started, right? So it's important to take water first thing in the morning. And how much water, it really depends. So I'd say trust your gut when it comes to how much water to drink. Observe if you're drinking too much or too little. About 1 to 2 cups is ideally how much typically people would drink. Make sure you're activating your system but not flooding the system. Okay. And typically in the morning, warm water is recommended. Warm water, as compared to room temperature or cold water, always. Especially in the morning, warm water helps activate your system better. And many people also add lemon or some spices to their morning water, and that absolutely can be done. Do not add, if you're drinking hot water, just don't add honey to it, because honey and hot water are not recommended by Ayurveda as a good combination. You can add lemon to your water if that's supporting you, or some spices also could be added. Some good ones are cumin and coriander seeds. Cumin seeds are more on the warming side, and coriander seeds are on the cooling side. So, depending on what your body needs, You can add cumin or coriander or even a combination of both, and some fennel seeds as well. So you can spice your water, or even plain water is perfectly fine. But warm water is more preferable. And most importantly, how you drink is also important. In the mornings, especially, you can take a few minutes to sip your water slowly, sit down, and don't chug it. And this asan that you see in the picture on the screen, it's called malasan. It's a recommended posture by yoga while drinking water in the morning because it helps stimulate the bowel movement and helps your body absorb that water well. So you can try this out, or even like sit down. Make sure you're having your water always in a seated position, because that gives the when you're seated, you have a solid base to your body, and that helps your body actually absorb the water better, rather than just pushing it down all the way. So that's about morning water intake. Our next anchor point is 30 minutes before your meals. Be it breakfast or lunch or dinner, 30 minutes, roughly 30 minutes before eating, have a cup of water. This gently prepares the stomach for digestion so that the food doesn't have to go into a dry environment, and the body can receive the meal more comfortably. It also prevents that feeling where you want to keep eating or gulp water during the meal. It makes sure that you don't actually feel thirsty during the meal. Drinking water, like having a few sips of water during the meal, is okay, but this drinking 30 minutes prior to the meal actually supports your digestion better, and it ensures that you don't drink excess fluid during the meal. And also, it helps with this confusion between thirst versus hunger. Sometimes, when the body is actually asking for fluid and water, you interpret it as hunger, right? And that makes you eat more during your meal than you actually should. So, if you drink water ahead, like at least 30 minutes before, you'd be able to stop at a comfortable fullness during your meal, and that becomes easier to do. So that's why, like, drinking water 30 minutes before your meal actually is helpful. And preferably also around this time, have warm water, and about 1 cup of water should be enough. Don't drink too much. Again, how much water you drink depends on various factors, so you're the best judge of it. And optionally, you could infuse it with some lemon to kickstart your digestion before your meal, or even some spices to kickstart your digestion. And again, don't chug your water, and sit calmly if possible while drinking. And the next anchor point is 1 hour after eating. 1 hour after eating. Firstly, you should wait for at least half an hour or 1 hour after eating to really drink a substantial amount of water, like a cup of water, because you don't want to dilute your gastric juices that help digest your food. So, drinking water during your meal or right after your meal is not ideal. And that could even lead to bloating and improper nutrient absorption. So wait for an at least half an hour, but ideally an hour after eating. And this is when digestion has mostly like finished the initial part of digestion, the breaking down of the food. And now the body needs to move the nutrients, circulate the nutrients into all the tissues. And it needs fluid for that step, right? So drinking water at this time actually helps carry that nourishment throughout the body. So you're supporting your digestion by drinking water an hour after your meal. And people often also notice less post meal sluggishness and sleepiness, and less heaviness and sticky feeling afterwards. So you're also not just helping digestion here, you're helping that nutrient absorption, the distribution of the food that you've eaten throughout your body. And how to do it, again, have about 1 cup or how much ever you're comfortable with, and prefer warm water so that you can absorb it well, and it helps with that digestive process. And you can add mild spices again if you'd like, but plain water is also fine. And of course, like sit down and sip it slowly if possible. And if you're drinking warm water or hot water, I don't have to tell you to like sip slowly, you naturally do that. And again, this 1 hour timing is also not like set 1 hour. Initially you could start with, say, setting an alarm to like drinking water 1 hour after, but eventually your body will tell you when it's actually thirsty. You'll start to recognize your thirst signals after meals more easily. And many times, like maybe today, like if you notice, many people feel hungry, like say an hour or two after their meals, and typically this is not hunger. If you've had a fulfilling meal, if you're feeling hungry in an hour or two, that's not hunger, it's usually thirst. We confuse this hunger and thirst signals, and we end up snacking around this time. But if you feel hungry, at least at least within the 2 hour or 3 hour window after meals, drink water before you do any snacking. It's usually thirst that needs to be quenched. And the fourth anchor point is bedtime. Just a small cup of warm to hot water. Warm to hot water is highly recommended at this time. It helps the body during the night. During the sleep, our body is doing repair work, like our tissues are restoring, circulation is active, and a little hydration supports all of these processes. So having water at bedtime feels you helps you feel easier, and also helps you wake up fresh in the morning. It helps with your bowel movement in the morning, but always keep it small. Do not flood your system so that you don't have to wake up in the night to pee. So don't fill your bladder too much. Drink probably a half an hour before bedtime at least. And again, sit calmly. This helps you ground yourself before bedtime as well. Like make sure you drink it mindfully. So summarizing the 4 point hydration rhythm, it's to drink water at these four anchor points relative to your sleep and meal times. As I said, you can start with putting alarms to begin with if you don't already drink during at these four anchor points. But as you keep following this rhythm, your body naturally gets used to it. And you see that naturally you will start to feel thirsty right around these four anchor points. And another thing that you could add is probably evening time that I haven't mentioned here. Evenings, if you're not having very early dinners around 4 or 5 p.m. in the evenings, is when you would have an extra cup of water. So you can do that as well. Any questions on this so far? Okay. And if you don't have any questions, as I said, this covers pretty much all of the challenges related to intake and absorption of water. But there are some other hacks that can help you with any challenges outside of these. We can take a look at 5 hacks here. Firstly, if you're feeling bloated or heavy after drinking water, sometimes it may not happen all the time, but sometimes this may be happening. A simple tip I have for you is to drink warm water. Drink warm water, and that helps relieve this heaviness. Or even you can spice your water with some cumin or coriander seeds, and um, it helps with absorption of water and feeling lighter after drinking water. And you may have a question if drinking warm water throughout the day is ideal. I wouldn't say anything like any rule works for everyone. You're the best judge of what's working for you. Generally, if you have high heat in your body, or if you're in during summer, for example, during hot summer days, warm water may not be taken well by the body. If you experience symptoms like dizziness or dryness, it's a sign to not have hot water. You can do room temperature water in that case, but otherwise generally warm water is typically good. And always make sure, a second hack is to make sure that water is accessible to you. Sometimes, like carrying water bottle, a flask just around you helps you drink water more easily. And then, if you have a habit of drinking tea or coffee or other beverages, it may likely be impacting your water intake. So, follow this simple trick of having a cup of water at least a few minutes before you take your beverage. Have a cup of water before you take your beverage so that the beverages are not replacing your water intake. And if you take water mindlessly often, at least once a day, set this to typically sit down. You may try this in the mornings. Sit down to have your water mindfully, at least once a day. And lastly, if you notice that you're consuming too much water, it's likely that your electrolyte balance is disrupted. So instead of drinking plain water, infuse it with some lemon and even a pinch of salt if needed, or other spices. Infused water, sometimes infusing it with the right spices, can increase hydration. So, infused water can be preferred if you're not feeling hydrated enough, if you feel like you have to drink too much water. Sometimes your meals, what you have in your meals, if you have oily food, you may feel more thirsty. So, in those cases, try infused water instead of plain water. So, these are some hacks that you can use to help with better hydration. So, wrapping up, again, continue with your presence, pause, and breath regulation. And if you haven't filled out the hydration awareness form already, please go ahead and do that. And you will be starting implementing this 4 point hydration rhythm in your day. And if it feels overwhelming to start everything at once, you can start with 1 point at a time. Start with mornings and nights, and then you can do it. You can start with your meal hydration around your meal times. Any questions? All right. If you don't have anything, I can let you go. Thank you all for joining again.